Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome once again to my channel. My name is Delvin Wenani, and today I want to take you through KCSE 2023 Biology Paper 1 from question number 1 to the last question. Remember to subscribe, remember to follow, remember to share, and remember to leave a comment so that we can reach as many people as possible. Otherwise, without wasting much time, let us go to the classroom. Now, question 1, 2023, paper 1, biology. The question reads, name the disease caused by the following microorganism. Name the disease caused by the following microorganism. And the first microorganism is Entamoeba histolytica. Entamoeba histolytica. Now, Entamoeba histolytica is actually caused by amoebic dysentery. Commonly known as amoeba or amoeba. Then the second question is Plasmodium ovale. Plasmodium ovale, a microorganism known as Plasmodium ovale. Plasmodium is a group of microorganisms which cause a disease known as malaria. Malaria is caused by Plasmodium ovale. Question number 2, A. State two sites in animals where countercurrent flow of fluids occurs. State two sites in animals where countercurrent flow of fluids occurs. Countercurrent is where fluids flow in an opposite direction. So in this case, we have the kidney tubules or the nephrons. We also have the gills, and it can be gills of bony fish or gills of any organism that has gills. We also have the placenta, but we don't accept the Bowman's capsule nor glomerulus, but we accept placenta. Now, I want you to explain the significance of countercurrent flow of fluids. The significance of countercurrent flow of fluids. Now, the countercurrent flow helps to maintain a steep concentration gradient. And this one is basically for efficient, faster, optimum, maximum exchange of materials between the two sites. The following diagram represents parts of a female reproductive system. The following diagram represents parts of the female reproductive system. And the parts are as follows. Those are the parts. We have the parts labeled E and another one labeled F. So let us go to the question. Question number 1. Identify the part labeled F. Identify the part labeled F. We're talking about this part here, the part that is labeled F here. Now, this is a vagina. Now, we are putting opening in bracket because you can say a vaginal opening or simply say a vagina. Explain the structural adaptation of part label E to its function. Explain the structural adaptation of part label E to its function. Now, this part label E is the one we are asking you to explain how it is adapted to its function. This part is lined with thick muscles. It's muscular actually. And this is to allow expansion for accommodation of the growing fetus. And also to allow contraction during birth. So to allow contraction during birth. Now, we want you to use letter H. Want you to use letter H to label on the diagram the part where ectopic pregnancy is likely to occur. Now, remember, ectopic pregnancy occurs in the fallopian tube. So we want you to draw and locate where that part, where the ectopic pregnancy will occur. And this one will look as follows. That is where the ectopic pregnancy will occur. The following diagram represents a skull of a certain mammal. The following diagram represents a skull of a certain mammal. That is a skull. State the likely mode of nutrition for the animal from which the skull was obtained. Now, this is a question on nutrition, so they're asking you to state the likely mode of nutrition for the animal from which the animal skull was obtained. Now, you need to look at the skull, and look at the arrangement of teeth, the types of teeth. They will actually, in short, we are looking at the dentition. Look at the dentition. Dentition of that skull will be able to tell you where the animal is likely to have been originated. And for this case, this one is a carnivorous. It's a flesh-eating organism. We also accept Holozoic and heterotrophism. Explain your answer. Now, it has long, pointed canine for grasping, tearing flesh. It also has molars. It has premolars, which we have cusps for crushing bones. It also has sharp incisors. When you look at this, it has very sharp incisors for nipping and cutting flesh. So that way we shall say this one is a carnivorous. Students observed that the smell from a decomposing animal carcass was stronger at midday than early in the morning. It was stronger at midday than early in the morning. Why? Name the physiological process by which the smell reached the student. Name the physiological process by which the smell reached the student. And this is by diffusion. This is by diffusion, because here we are talking about particles. The particles, the smelling particles moving from a decomposing body. So that is diffusion. Account for the observation made by the students. Now, accounting means we are explaining why the students are observing the way they are observing. That is why there's a stronger scent at midday than in the morning. So we are giving a reason as to why the students observed what they observed. And that is why we say it's called what? Accounting. And in this case, the temperature are higher at midday. And this one increases the rate of diffusion or movement of air particles from the decomposing carcass. Remember, at the decomposing carcass, that's where the particles are highly concentrated. And also we accept the converse. The converse means the opposite of that. That at lower temperature, you know what will happen in the morning, lower temperatures, there will be a decrease in the rate of diffusion. State two ways in which sweating is significant to human body. State two ways in which sweating is significant to the human body. Number one is for thermoregulation. That is body temperature regulation. Number two is for excretion. That is elimination of waste like urea, water, and excess salts. State three characteristics of the kingdom monera that are not found in the kingdom Animalia. We are giving characteristics of kingdom monera that are not found in kingdom Animalia. And these are, number one, moneras are prokaryotic. That is, they lack nuclear membrane. At the same time, they also possess cell walls. And lastly, they are unicellular. They are unicellular. The following diagram illustrates a setup to investigate a certain physiological process. The setup was left undisturbed for 10 minutes. Now we are seeing a string here. We are seeing a string of which is tied to a whisking tubing, which has concentrated salt solution. This is distilled water. And then we have a beaker here. This one should be a rod, steering rod, or anything that can hold the string. Then the first question, name the physiological process under investigation. Name the physiological process under investigation. Now, in this experiment, there is an issue to do with molecules of water, movement of molecules of water. And this one will be osmosis. Osmosis. State the observation made after 10 minutes. What will happen after 10 minutes? Number one, the level of water in the beaker will drop. The level of water in the beaker will drop. Then, if it drops, then it means the whisking tubing will expand. It will become swell. Now, account for the observation. Why is the level of water in the beaker dropping and the whisking tubing expanding? Why is the level of water in the beaker dropping and the whisking tubing expanding? This is because water in the beaker is hypotonic. That means it is less concentrated compared to the salt solution in the whisking tubing. And therefore, water will move, water molecules shall move from the beaker into the whisking tubing through or by the process of what? Osmosis. And this one will cause the reduction in the level of water in the beaker. In a genetic study, pure breeding black bull was crossed with a pure breeding white heifer. All the offspring were black. Question number 1. Account for the black color phenotype in all the offspring. Now we are having a pure breeding black bull crossed with a pure breeding white heifer. And all the offspring were black. That means the gene for the black color was dominant over the gene for the white color. And that's why it was expressing itself despite being crossed against a white heifer. Another one, work out the genotypic ratio of the offspring if the pure breeding black bull was crossed with a female heterozygous for the color. Now we are crossing a male, that is a bull, which is a pure breeding black. Then we are crossing it with a female heterozygous for the color, heterozygous. Now, if you cross that one, and let me display what I've crossed here, this is the likely results that you'll get. That is, we are crossing a parental phenotype that's black and black. They are all black. Then our genotypes are, this is capital B, that is homozygous. We are crossing against the female, which is capital B, small b. And these are our gametes. And then when you do our genetic cross, this is the outcome. We have, under the offspring, we have capital B, small b, capital B, then capital B, small b. So this one gives us a ratio of 2 capital B's and 2 capital B, small b's, which is the same as in the ratio of 1:1. You can still using a Punnett square and it still gives you the same results. Account for the following observations. Number 1, when the pancreatic duct of a mammal is blocked, blood sugar regulation remains normal while digestion is impaired. When the pancreatic duct of a mammal is blocked, blood sugar regulation remains normal while digestion is impaired. Why? And this is because the pancreas secretes both the insulin and glucagon hormone. And this one plays a big role in blood sugar regulation. But pancreatic juice, which is a digestive enzyme, then we have the insulin glucagon, which is a hormone, will diffuse directly into the blood circulation. Remember, the insulin or the glucagon hormone diffuses directly into the blood circulation. That's why it regulates sugar levels despite the pancreatic duct being blocked. But digestion will not take place because the pancreatic juice must pass through the pancreatic duct to the duodenum to digest the food substance there. So the insulin and glucagon will diffuse direct into the bloodstream, but pancreatic juice must pass through the pancreatic duct into the duodenum. Most desert animals have longer loops of Henle. Why do they have a longer loop of Henle? And this is because loop of Henle, this is where there's a reabsorption of water. But when you have a long loop of Henle, it increases surface area for more reabsorption of water. And this one will result in release of less urine, or we can say it releases what we call less concentrated urine. And this enables the animal to conserve water. Because of what? Because in desert environment, there's water shortage. There's water shortage in the desert environment. The following diagrams represent the beaks of different birds. The following diagram represents beaks of different birds. And that is it. Those are the beaks you can see. This one is pointed. This one is sharp. This one is short and stubby. This one is a little bit curved. First question. State the type of evolution illustrated by the diagram. State the type of evolution illustrated by the diagram. All of them are originating from the same origin, but they have been modified to perform different functions. So these are called divergent evolution. Divergent evolution. Then question number B, explain the significance of the type of evolution stated in 11A above. The significance, the importance of that evolution, whereby we originate from we have a same ancestral origin, but we are modified to perform different functions. What is the importance of that? And this is, the beaks enables the birds to exploit different niches. And this reduces competition for food. It reduces competition for food. Now remember, we are putting food in brackets because you can just say it will reduce competition, which is still okay. The following equation represents a certain metabolic reaction taking place in animal cells. That is the reaction we are seeing there. You can see the equation. That is the equation. The first question they're asking, name the organelle where the reaction occurs. Name the organelle where the reaction occurs. And this occurs in the mitochondrion. You can say mitochondrion, or you can say mitochondria. Mitochondrion or mitochondria. Calculate the respiratory quotient of the substrate being oxidized. Calculate the respiratory quotient of the substrate being oxidized. The formula for calculation of respiratory quotient, the formula for calculating the respiratory quotient is volume of carbon 4 oxide produced divided against volume of oxygen used. Now, for this case, the volume of carbon 4 produced is 18, while the volume of CO2 used or consumed is 26. So when we divide the two, you get 0.6923 or 0.69, but we don't accept 0.7. So just write 0.69 or 0.692. Identify the substrate being oxidized in the reaction, and definitely this is fats, lipids, or oils because of 0.69, which when you round off, you can round off to 0.7. State two factors other than oxygen concentration that can affect the rate of the illustrated reaction. State two factors other than oxygen concentration that can affect the rate of the illustrated reaction. And this is optimum temperature. Temperature will affect. That is, whether it's optimum or it's not optimum, it will affect the reaction. Substrate concentration. We also have pH, whether favorable or unfavorable. We also have the age, activity of organisms, age or activity of the organism. Then you have surface area to the volume ratio. We also have hormones. The following diagram illustrates neuron. The following diagram illustrates a neuron. And that is it. That is a neuron. You can see it. That's a neuron. The first question, identify the neuron. Identify the neuron. Identity. Which neuron is this? Which neuron is this? And this is a relay or intermediate neuron. This is a relay or intermediate neuron. Why? Give a reason for your answer. Why are we saying it's a relay? This is because it lacks Schwann cell. It lacks Schwann cell. Name the part labeled P on the diagram. Name the part labeled P on the diagram. This one here. Name this part labeled P. And these are, your guess is like they call mine. And these are dendrites. These are dendrites. Now state the function of the part named in 13b Roman 1 above. Name or state the function of the part named in 13b Roman 1 above. It makes contact with the neighboring neuron and therefore helps in the transmission of impulses to the next motor neuron. It makes contact with the neighboring neuron and therefore transmits impulses to the next motor neuron. In an experiment, student added some water to a beaker containing maize flour and yeast. The beaker was covered and left on the laboratory bench undisturbed for 3 days. State the aim of the experiment. What was the aim of the experiment? And this was to demonstrate, investigate what we call anaerobic respiration or fermentation. State 2 observation made by students after the 3 days. State 2 observations made by the students after 3 days. What are some of the observations the students made? Number 1, the students observed that the beaker content had increased in temperature. The beaker content had increased in temperature. There was frothing or swelling of the contents in the beaker. So some bubbling. There was some bubbling, fizzing from the content in the beaker. And there was some smell, that is of the fermented contents. And also remember, there was also the change in color of the beaker contents. State 2 characteristics likely to be observed in a 25-year-old male incapable of producing enough testosterone. State 2 characteristics likely to be observed in a 25-year-old male incapable of producing enough testosterone. 1 will have a shallow voice. Will also have less hairy chest, chin, armpit, body, and the pubic area. Will be less muscular. Will have smaller testes and smaller penis. Failure to produce enough sperms and therefore will suffer from what we call less sperm production. Now, name one part in plants where auxins are produced. Name one part in plants where auxins are produced. Now, auxins are either produced at the apical bud, shoot apex, or what we call the apical meristem. They are also produced at the root tip. Name the branch of biology that deals with the study of insects. Name the branch of biology that deals with the study of insects. And this is what? Entomology. Entomology. Name one piece of apparatus one will use to collect insects for study. We are only asking for one, and there are so many. And these are sweep net, specimen bottle, pitfall trap, bait trap, forceps, and a putter. Any of them will be used for collection of insect for study. Number 17, distinguish between magnification and resolution. Distinguish between magnification and resolution as used in microscopy. Distinguish between magnification and resolution as used in microscopy. Magnification is the ability of a microscope or a hand lens to enlarge smaller objects to the desired size, while resolution is the ability to distinguish between finer details of objects or specimen. The ability to distinguish between finer details of a specimen. State the significance of the following procedures during the preparation of temporally wet mounds of plant tissues. Number 1, staining. Why do we stain? Why do we stain when in preparation for temporarily wet mounds or slides? This one is to enhance clarity of the object specimen detailed. This one is to enhance clarity of the object or specimen details. Making thin sections. This one is to reduce the layers of cells. And when you reduce the layers of cells, you make them to be transparent. Thus, allows light to pass through. That is a penetration of light. And remember, light will aid in the viewing of the cells. So the better the light penetration, the better the view. State 2 means through which plants eliminate excess water. State 2 means through which plants eliminate excess water. And this is, number 1, through transpiration. Transpiration can be stomato, cuticular, or lenticular. Transpiration can be stomato, cuticular, or lenticular. Number 2 is through guttation. Explain the significance of hair on the human skin during cold weather. Explain the significance of hair on the human skin during cold weather. What does it do? The erector or the erectile pili muscles will contract and make the hair to stand upright or erect. And this traps a layer of air, a thin layer of air. And this thin layer of air will help or serve as an insulator to minimize or to reduce heat loss. The hair will trap air, and this air will act as a poor insulator of heat, and thus they will minimize or reduce heat loss. The following diagram represents a stage in the mitotic division of a cell. And that is it. That's a stage. That's a division, a mitotic division. They are very specific. It represents a stage in the mitotic division of a cell. Identify the stage of mitosis illustrated. Identify the stage of mitosis illustrated. And this is a what? Anaphase. This is an anaphase. But we reject anaphase 1 because we are talking about mitotic. So it would be anaphase. Give a reason for your answer. And the reason is because chromatids, that is of each chromosome, have separated and they are moving towards the poles. They have separated and they are moving towards the poles. State the role of centrioles in the cell division. Centrioles, they provide spindle fibers during cell division. Now, state the significance of the following characteristics of living organisms. Their significance, their importance. Number 1, irritability. The ability of organism to detect changes in the environment. Irritability. It enables organism to seek favorable, escape from unfavorable conditions. To do what? To survive. Reproduction. This one guarantees continuity. Reproduction. This guarantees continuity of species, transmission, perpetuation of desirable qualities, those traits, to the subsequent generation. The following diagram represents a mammalian tooth, and that is the tooth. Look at it. The first question, explain the structural adaptation of the tooth to its function. Explain the structural adaptation of the tooth to its function. One, it has cusps, and you can be able to see these are the cusps which facilitate crushing of food. It has flat, broad surface, and this one provides an area for grinding food to increase the surface area for enzymatic action. It has also 2 roots. Question: how does drinking cold water immediately after meal affect digestion? How does drinking cold water immediately after meal affect digestion? And this is the response. Cold water lowers the temperature of the gut and therefore inactivating enzymes. And it can also solidify the fats, oils, which will now slow the digestion. Explain the concept of natural selection among organisms in relation to ecosystem insufficient food. Explain the concept of natural selection among organisms in relation to ecosystem with insufficient food. Number 1, there will be competition for food because there is insufficient food. And this will lead to some of the organisms being eliminated, or they will die because they are unfit. So the unfit individuals, those with weak characteristics, will lack food, die, and get eliminated. The fit individuals, or those with strong characteristics, will consume the available food and survive, progress to maturity, and reproduce fit individuals. Lastly, the following diagram represents a light microscope. This is a light microscope. Name the part labeled N. Name the part labeled N. That is a mirror. That's a mirror. State the function of part labeled L and M. L and M. L is a coarse adjustment knob. M is the condenser. Now, L will move the body tube through. L will move the body tube, and therefore will bring a rough focus or positioning of the specimen, while M concentrates light on the stage or on the specimen. This one brings us to the end of our revision today. Remember to subscribe, remember to follow, to share, and therefore I want to take this opportunity to appreciate you for watching us, for keeping us in touch, and therefore remember to share, to subscribe, and to follow. I'll be back with more details in paper 2 and paper 3. Otherwise, shalom and God bless you.